Or Ponte Vedra locations at 904-274-5522. Again, 274-5522. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, shoulders, back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Look, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Again, give them a call. 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
So much so that I had to ask around. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of a nice guy, right?
Hacker is an ass.
I try, as I'm getting into my old age at 39 years old, try not to let things bother me. Just know that I'm ultra soft.
And he doesn't shy away from opinions.
See Baker Mayfield throw 4 passes, but I get to see this homeless guy return a ball for a touchdown.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Happy NBA season to all who observe. It started last night. It begins in unison tonight. There's about a dozen games, including my beloved Orlando Magic, holding a 13-point lead on the Houston Rockets right now, 50-37, about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter down in Orlando. So we'll keep you updated with an NBA scoreboard or two coming up tonight here on Hacker After Dark. But it is Jaguars-Steelers. It is a big one on Sunday in Pittsburgh. We are going to talk about that game immensely tonight and Friday. I'll explain to you why we're not going to talk about that tomorrow in just a bit, as high school football will be on, and we will be under the Thursday night lights with the postgame show tomorrow night, back on with you during Hacker After Dark on Friday. Guest lineup looks like this. Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle of the Jaguars. You get him every day on primetime. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. He's going to join us in about 20 minutes. Former Jaguar, former Steeler. We'll talk to Leon about his two former teams going at it on Sunday. Also, pretty cool event coming to Jacksonville. Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing, the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. I grew up watching Ken Shamrock on Monday nights. I had the opportunity to talk to Ken Shamrock about this event coming to the UNF Arena on Friday night. We will play you Ken Shamrock's conversation later on as well here in the 8 o'clock hour. But as we always do, to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, I'm going to play you some comments from Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence in just a moment. But from what I hear, I guess Trayvon Walker was kind of a topic of conversation today here on the radio station, so I thought I would give my thoughts on the Trayvon Walker lack of Jaguar pass rush, potential acquisition at the trade deadline talk that is going on. It's interesting that all this is going on amidst a 5-2 start for the Jaguars, the best start for the Jaguars in the last 16 years. Trayvon Walker, to me, is a good football player. Trayvon Walker, to me, is a guy that I'm happy is on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he is a valuable defensive football player in this league, and I think he will only get better as time goes by. Trayvon Walker, so far, has not been worth the number 1 pick in the draft. I think all of that can be accurate. All of that can be factual. Good player, happy he's here, believe he'll get better. To this point, however, not worth the number 1 pick in the draft. A lot of talk about Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh earlier this week, singling out Trayvon Walker. Well, what's an opposing coach going to do, right? You're not going to say, that guy wasn't worth the number 1 pick. Trayvon Walker's a good player. He is. And this is not an anti-Trayvon Walker sentiment. If anything, it's an anti-Trent Baalke sentiment for drafting Travon Walker number 1. I don't have any issue with Travon Walker. I have an issue with taking a guy number 1 that clearly at this point it appears you should not have drafted number 1. You know what number 1 defensive ends look like? You know what number 1 pass rushers look like? They look like Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett looks like a guy that was drafted number 1. You know what else? TJ Watt, the ultimate steal late in the first round. TJ Watt is a guy who looks like he should have been drafted number 1. JJ Watt, same thing. I put Travon Walker almost into like a Jadeveon Clowney type role right now. Again, there was nothing wrong with Jadeveon Clowney. He was a good player. Should he have been drafted number 1 by the Texans? No, probably not. Travon Walker's biggest problem is Aiden Hutchinson. Look, Hutchinson's clearly better than Walker. I mean, that's I don't know how you argue against that. You can be the most diehard teal and black goggles person in Duval County. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that Aiden Hutchinson is not a better player right now than Travon Walker. Is that necessarily a bad thing or a thing that cannot change over time? No. But it's as we sit here on the 26th day of October in 2023, Aiden Hutchinson's a better player. And I understand the frustration for the people that say the Jaguars have a lack of pass rush. They got 2 top 10 guys there. Look, Josh Allen's done his part. Josh Allen with 7 sacks in 7 games, he has done his part. He's getting no help. None. The Jaguars have 6 sacks from guys not named Josh Allen in 7 games. That's bad. In fact, that's, I think, in the top or the bottom quarter of the league. The Jaguars at 13 sacks are only better right now than the Texans, Bears, Giants, and Rams. They are tied with the Jets, the Saints, the Patriots, and the Falcons, and everybody else, the other 20-plus teams in the NFL, all have more quarterback sacks than the Jaguars do. That's factual information. That needs to change, which is why there is a lot of talk about the trade deadline, why there is a lot of talk about going out and getting somebody. And here's my big problem. The entire offseason, we sat here, not just me, not just our show, essentially every show on this station, most of you around the water cooler talking about Jaguar football. Do they have enough at pass rush? Do they need to address that? And all we heard was the young guys were going to emerge. We believe in our young players. Okay. You got 13 sacks in 7 games, and 7 of them are from Josh Allen. You're not affecting the opposing quarterback. Now, are there trades not being made? Were there trades not made this offseason because that would be an indictment of Trent Baalke's pick of Travon Walker? I don't know. I would hope that's not the case. I've seen that rumor floated out there by several people, as a matter of fact. I would hope that's not the case. You try to improve this football team as best you can. And there is no question that at 5-2, the Jaguars can make a run this year, man. The Jaguars absolutely have everything right in front of them. They are one of the best teams in the NFL, despite the fact that they get no pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. Oh, they disrupt the game in other ways. Okay, great. The last time I checked, the only thing that matters is getting that quarterback on the ground, right? Or maybe getting the ball out of his hand quicker than he would like. But to me, I'll take sacks over disrupting the game in other ways. That's why you hear the Jaguars linked to Danielle Hunter. You hear the Jaguars linked potentially to Chase Young or Montez Sweat in Washington. Potentially Carl Lawson in New York. Guys that might be on the trade market. Again, the trade deadline is in 6 days. Again, this is not a Travon Walker per se topic. He is at the forefront of it, but I don't think he is a bad player. I think far from that. I'm happy Travon Walker is here. I think he's going to be one of the cornerstones of this defense. But to this point, he should not have been drafted number 1. They've played 24 regular season games. 24. And in 24 regular season games, the guy you picked number 1 in the draft has 6 quarterback sacks. That's not good. That's not good. Can it improve? Sure. And we hope it does. He's good against the run. He's good at getting pressure. But the Jaguars got to get home. And when you're 5-2, and when you have a legit shot to do something, and the Jaguars do this year, more than a legit shot, they are one of the best teams in the NFL. I think you got to go out and you got to do something at the trade deadline. You got to find a way to bring in Montez Sweat or Chase Young or Carl Lawson or Danielle Hunter. Find a way. What is it going to cost you? I don't know. That's why Trent Baalke gets paid the big bucks. But they did not address the pass rush this offseason. We were told the young guys were going to step up. In 7 games, that has not happened. Trade deadline is next week. Go do something now that you should have done in May, June, July, and August. Go out and bring in a veteran pass rusher to help Josh Allen. Because right now, he's just simply not getting a lot of help. And to be a contender, you're going to have to give him some help. Again, the Jaguars tied with the Falcons, Patriots, Saints, and Jets. They have more sacks than the Rams, the Giants, the Bears, and the Texans. You look at the other AFC contenders. Jaguars have 13 sacks. Baltimore, 29. Buffalo, 25. Miami, 24. Kansas City, 22. The Chargers, 22. It's a huge gap between defenses over there and the defense here. And I'm sure those defenses have guys that, quote, do other things to affect the game. And that's all fine and well. But they also have guys that get the quarterback on the ground. And that is something the Jaguars are lacking right now, and that is something that needs to be addressed. I will also tell you this. It's kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. I love doing out-of-market interviews. People always have me on to talk Jags, and I love it. We have out-of-market people on every night. I go on other stations nationally. It's great. I go on in Kansas City earlier today. They were literally doing an entire show on who is second fiddle in the ACC, or the AFC. Who is second fiddle in the AFC? Who is the Kansas City Chiefs' biggest competition? So they had guys on in Cincinnati, right? Baltimore, Miami. I was their Jacksonville guy, and I go on with these guys all the time. They're good dudes. I didn't necessarily agree with the topic they were doing today, but I have them on a bunch. They have me on a bunch. I went on. And I gave them my thoughts as to why Jacksonville is the second best team in the AFC right now, which I believe they are. I don't think there's a team better outside of Kansas City than the Jaguars in the American Football Conference. I'll stand by that. So as I hung up and they put me on hold, they continued the debate. Boy, I just can't believe in Jacksonville. I can't get on the Jacksonville train. And you know what? They're right. If you lived in Kansas City, you wouldn't believe in Jacksonville either. You've beat them 3 times in a calendar year. You've beat them at Arrowhead in the regular season. You've beat them at Arrowhead in the postseason. You came down here to Duval. You beat them this season. They do not care one iota in Kansas City about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They hope they see Jacksonville in the postseason because they believe they own the Jaguars, and they have every right to believe that. It was frustrating to listen to. It was frustrating for me to tell you this right now, but that is the reality of the situation. Kansas City has owned Jacksonville. And why do I get the feeling when we fast forward 3 months from now, I guess maybe 2.5 months from now, why do I get the feeling that at some point Jacksonville is going to have to go to Arrowhead in the postseason in front of Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and the War Chant and Arrowhead and all that stuff? Why do I get the feeling that Jacksonville is going to have to go out there and win a game? Can they do it? I don't know. It'd be nice to have the opportunity. If you go to Arrowhead, that would sure be nice. That means you're in the postseason, and you're probably deep in the postseason at that point. But just store that in the back of your mind. And again, I don't blame them for this thought, but they have zero respect in Kansas City for the Jacksonville Jaguars. None whatsoever, based on this show and based on the callers that I heard on this station. Why would they? They beat Jacksonville 3 times in a row. They hope they play Jacksonville in the postseason. They said it would be, quote, an easy victory. Easy victory. We'll see. 641-1010 on the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. The Jaguars and the Steelers. Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk Steelers with a man that wore both. Drafted by Pittsburgh, played in a Super Bowl for Pittsburgh, now makes his home here in Jacksonville. My friend Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. It is a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, and we are glad you are with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
It's not a court, a quarterback, or a quarter turn. It's the window world of Northeast Florida fifth quarter. Hacker, Leon Searcy, and Coach Campo from 9 Ball Heaven. Brought to you by Dr. George Bari and Bari Orthopedics and Osteen Volvo and Volkswagen.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
All right, Jeff, all I need you to say is, hi, I'm Jeff Lageman, and me and everybody I played professional football with thinks Shark Coatings is the best.
I'm not going to do that.
You can't, what will you say?
Well, I mean, look, the floor is durable. It's easy to clean. It looks fantastic. It's the second time I've used it. What more do I need to say?
I mean, that works too, I guess.
Okay. Can you step off the ladder?
No one's going to know.
Trust me, they'll know. You're not as tall as I. Thanks.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at MillerCareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision and equal opportunity employer.
Want even more excitement on game day? It's time to get it on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. You just pick 2 to 6 players and choose which will have the better statistical day. If you get it right, you can win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and easy to make your picks, and with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals, Prize Picks is the place to play this season. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out, watch your entry update in real time, and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with Prize Picks. And right now, when you go to prizepicks.com/1010XL and use code 1010XL, Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/1010XL with code 1010XL for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 25th, 1986, the Mets beat the Red Sox in Game 6 of the World Series as the ball got through Bill Buckner.
Problems followed by promises followed by proof. That's the game plan for Chad and Sandy. When it comes time for you to sell your home, there is no problem that they can't promise to fix and ultimately give you the proof. Maybe you have a growing family or you're working from home and you need more space. Trust Chad and Sandy. They're the real estate expert that I would trust and recommend for the sale of your home. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Take Randall and Tammy in Keystone Heights. They say we needed to sell fast to move closer to Mom, who needed help. Sadly, our home was listed with another realtor for over 190 days. We heard Chad and Sandy's guarantee on the radio. We hired them. They launched an amazing marketing plan, sold our home in less than 30 days. We left as soon as the offer was official, and Chad and Sandy handled all the rest. That promise, if they don't sell your home, they will buy it. Call the agents I trust and recommend. Chad and Sandy at 904-414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Summer is ending, and the chill of fall is just around the corner. Is your heating system ready to conquer the upcoming cold nights and frosty mornings? Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to keep you warm and toasty.
Don't let winter sneak up on you. We're offering a system checkup for only $79 to ensure your heating system is tip-top for the colder days ahead.
Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 to schedule a checkup. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, your trusted feathered friend in home comfort. 904-862-6769.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
1010XL is a proud sponsor of Operation New Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala, featuring retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and former Congressman Alan West. Saturday, December 2nd at Sawgrass Marriott. Operation Uniform is a free, life-changing program that helped me and David Trenholm successfully transition from a 20-year career in the United States Navy to the business world. Join 1010XL and sponsor Operation Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala today. Go to onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Wednesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL, and what is now a big game in the AFC, the 5-2 Jacksonville Jaguars and the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. With that, let me welcome in my friend Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime, a former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, bro. Still a week. Let's do it.
Hey, you know what? We're going to dive into it. You know what? Let's start there. We'll recap in a minute. You were drafted by Pittsburgh, obviously went to the Super Bowl with Pittsburgh, and then came to Jacksonville and have now made your home here. Your thoughts when the Jaguars and the Steelers get together?
Well, I mean, for me, it's always a big rivalry game because, you know, I left Pittsburgh and came to Jacksonville as a free agent. You know, I tell people often that, you know, I was born a Steeler, but I was raised a Jaguar. So, you know, I have an appreciation that I played with the, you know, was drafted by the Steelers, fortunate to be a first-round pick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, you know, my home is Duval, baby. You know, I love the Jaguars. I had more of my profound success here in Jacksonville, you know, helped put Jacksonville back on the map and, you know, help lay the foundation for what Jacksonville football is today.
And look, it's a big game on Sunday, which we'll get to in a moment. Leon, the Jaguars haven't played since last Thursday. You and I haven't talked since then. Boy, 4-0 in 19 days. 4 games, 19 days. Leon, they won them all. 2 in London, 1 in Jacksonville, 1 in New Orleans. Your thoughts, man, on this 4-game winning streak they're on?
You know, I'm very impressed by the way the Jaguars are playing because you got to remember when they went to London, they were 1-2. There was a lot of doubt about this team, and especially offensively. You know how efficient this offense could be, because, you know, they came in with high expectations. Everybody was expecting the Jaguars initially to come into the season and light up the scoreboard. And, you know, we got to a very slow start early on in this season. And then when we went to London, you know, we kind of took off. You know, we had the game against Atlanta. We had the game very impressive game against Buffalo. Then we come back home and, you know, we win a game. We win at home. And then we go on the road, against a very good Saints team. And we beat the Saints. You know, we were playing solid defensive football. We're being very optimistic. We're taking care of, getting turnovers. And then offensively, against the Saints, were probably, especially in the first half, probably the most efficient football I've seen this offense playing in a very, very long time. And that's very impressive. That's winning football. That's the kind of carryover that start streaks that we have right now, a 4-game winning streak. And it's going to be a tough road game against a formidable Pittsburgh Steelers team, but I think the Jaguars are definitely up for it, especially what I've seen on the road against the Saints.
You get Leon Searcy every day on XL Primetime. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, you know, it's interesting, man. The offense put 37 on the board against Indy, put 24 on the board against New Orleans. Obviously, it got to 31 with the Oluwakin, pick 6 there on defense. Yet, despite that, and even the 25 they scored against Buffalo, there are stretches in these games, Leon, where the offense looks very good at times. And, man, there are stretches when they look awful at times, and there's not a lot of gray area. It seems like they're either getting the ball and scoring, or they're going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, that's concerning. That's concerning to me. The knock on the Jaguars for the very, very longest, last couple of years, is that they start slow. Well, the last couple of weeks, this offense has started fast. They've been very inefficient. They go down to score a touchdown, And for about a 2.5 quarters, this team looks like, it's going to be unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. Converting on third downs, getting first down, getting short yardage. And then they just take their foot off the gas. And a couple of times, I'm a believer that if our defense, hadn't come through in the second half in a lot of these games, I'm not too sure we'll be sitting on a 4-game winning streak right now, because our offense has played a good 2.5 quarters of football for the mass majority of the time, and then they like to take the foot off the gas for whatever reason. They get comfortable, let teams back in games like the Saints game. Saints game should have been over. We were up 24-9. We were cruising along, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're 3 and out. They get the ball, score a touchdown. We're 3 and out. We get the ball, they come back, they tie the game up. Next thing you know, my blood pressure's going up because we were cruising at one particular time, and then they let the teams back in, and then I don't know. And we just got to do a better job of that. We got to do a better job of just keeping the foot on the gas and being efficient for 4 quarters instead of 2.5.
Yeah, football is a funny game. I think the Jaguars had 14 yards passing, and then they had a 44-yard game-winning touchdown just like that. Trevor Lawrence to Christian Kirk there in the fourth quarter in New Orleans. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence, Leon, you played over a decade at the highest level in the NFL. You were a Pro Bowler, a tough physical offensive lineman. What did Trevor show you last week playing through that knee injury?
The kids got – well, listen, I'm not going to say the kids got guts. He's got moxie. We knew that coming in. That's the reason why we drafted. You don't go first pick overall if we don't think that you got the stuff. But what he did, to come back, because, he could have sat. He could have said, hey, coach, I'm going to sit, rest, whatever. But the kid – he sees the potential of this team, and he knows that the best shot this team has of winning is him on the football field. And when teammates see that kind of stuff, when they see guys, because we always say this when we play football, especially when I was playing, there's a difference between you being hurt and you being injured. You being hurt means at this particular point in the season, everybody's hurt. Nobody's 100%. Some guys are 80, 75, 70% right now. There's something going on. So that means you hurt, but that means you can still play. And if you can still play, you still got to play at the optimum level, because you can't make any excuses once you step foot on that field. If you're injured, then we understand. Your injury is something that keeps you from actually playing in the football game, that kind of stuff. So Trevor, I mean, that kind of thing. See, if you got your leader going out there doing stuff like that, playing with, sprained MCLs and all that kind of stuff is still as productive and guts it out, then there could be no other excuses from anybody else, because it starts from the top to the bottom. And Trevor is high when it comes to the hierarchy of guys of importance on this football team.
And one thing about Trevor Lawrence, Leon, he's not exactly the most vocal guy when it comes to social media. Yet whenever he takes to social media, he says what's on his mind. I remember when they lost to Houston and fell to 1-2, he put that emoji of taking notes, right, hearing what everybody's saying. And since then, they've won 4 in a row. We'll go back to Saturday. Even after the win on Thursday night, you had Richard Sherman, who I know you talked about on your show, his thoughts about Trevor not being a generational guy, and Chris Broussard on FS1 kind of ripping the Jaguars a little bit. And I think Trevor had enough of it, so he goes on social media on Saturday and basically tells the NFL analysts out there, keep saying whatever you want, we'll keep finding ways to win games. Boy, you kind of like that, right? The quarterback with a little attitude towards some of this negativity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, listen, I don't know if you know this song, Hack, but there's a certain song, me being from Miami, I listen to from Trick Daddy, and it's called "Okay, All Right, What's Up, Shut Up." so that's kind of what Trevor told him, and you know what? He's speaking through his play. That's what it's all about. He's just speaking through his play. Listen, you don't get good in this game without haters. If the more haters you have, the better you playing. Listen, if you're no good, if this team is no good, if Trevor's no good, they ain't got nothing to talk about. But the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars, small market team, has got haters because we're good and we're winning football games, hey, that should be a celebration. You know that you're moving forward when you got haters. And those guys like Broussard and those guys like Richard Sherman, they're haters. They're old haters at that. I mean, at some point, there should be an age limit of hating, but obviously it isn't.
Couple of more for former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Guys like Broussard and Sherman as well. I doubt they've seen a Jaguar game until last week. So
I doubt it too.
They get on and they run their mouth, and half the time the national guys have no idea anything going on here in Jacksonville. All right, back to Pittsburgh on Sunday. A couple of angles, Leon, that I want to talk about with this game. It's a big game, right? 5-2 Jags, 4-2 Steelers. You know that Pittsburgh crowd, that fan base. We talked last week about the Superdome and the environment that would be. It'll be a tough environment on Sunday in Pittsburgh, Leon. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it will be a tough environment. And the one thing I know going into the game, and actually I even reflected on this when I was a player, when we early on and when I was a Jaguar, we could never beat the Steelers. And I told them that the only thing that the Steelers respected was toughness and physical. And they're going to run their mouth. They're going to trash talk you, but you got to be just as physical and nasty and as determined as they are, and you got to steal their wheel. The same thing holds today. I mean, the Jaguars have got to go on there. They've got to be the more physical team. They got to be the more relentless team, and they got to steal the Steelers' wheel. The only way you steal their wheel is early, because you got to ride that wave, because the crowd's going to be loud, terrible towels going to be twirling, and it's going to be a heavyweight fight, and you're going to have to stick and move for 4 quarters, and play to their physicality. It's going to be another tough challenge for the offensive line, especially the tackles, with the noise, with the silent count, with the TJ Watts of the world. Anton Harrison's got another formidable task on his hand. He did a wonderful job against Cam Jordan last week, so he's going up against another perennial All-Pro. I mean, he's going to have to grow up fast. He's going to have to protect Trevor at all costs, and you got to understand, Trevor, although he's probably gotten some, treatment with that knee, you just don't want that to factor in. And I think last week against the Saints, I think the tackles did a wonderful job. Even the interior of the offensive line did a great job keeping Trevor clean. In that kind of environment where there was no holding penalties, there was one false start. and no sacks. So you're going to need those kind of stats again going into this game. And I think on the defense side of the ball, I think that the Steelers are gettable. I mean, Pickens, he's not lighting up the NFL. You know, he literally has one essential weapon that he has, or two. Najee Harris, depends on, you know, how well the offensive line blocks. He could be a little tough to have. But listen, I think this game is gettable. Absolutely think it's gettable. If they play the way they played against the Saints, so don't take their foot off the gas. I mean, this game is a very gettable game, a very winnable game. But you're going to have to bite, scratch, and fight, and come out of the state. You know, come out of Pittsburgh with a win.
Final moments with Leon Searcy. I completely agree. The game is gettable. You mentioned T.J. Watt and the Jaguar offensive line. The analytics said last week the Jaguar O-line in New Orleans had one of the best performances of any offensive line in the league this year. New Orleans very rarely got to Trevor Lawrence at all, even touching him, so it was a great performance by the line. Now you're playing arguably the best pass rusher in pro football. If you're Doug Peterson, Leon, if you're Press Taylor, what do you do about T.J. Watt? Do you keep a tight end over there to help Harrison? Do you chip with a running back? What's your thought there?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to hold this offensive line to a very high standard because now I know they can get it done. I mean, the way they performed against the Saints in that, with that crowd, with that noise, with that turf, with that silent count, inability to hear the snap count, and in the offensive lines, their ability to get out this stance and pass protect. I'm expecting that every week now. I mean, you can't show it to me once and then not show it to me again, because now my expectations of you are a lot higher. You got to live up to those expectations now that I know that you can do it. So, I mean, I don't know what Doug Peterson is going to do as far as the offensive line goes, as far as leaving guys in the check and all that kind of stuff. But initially, I would just have to see if these guys can live up to the standards that they played in the week before, because now that you show me you can do it, I need to see it on a more consistent basis.
Leon, as we say goodbye, there's a confidence about this football team, right? They're 4-0 in the last 4 ball games. They've played 4 decent teams, right? They're not beating 0 or 1 or 2 lost teams. Every team they've beaten has at least 3 wins this year. Going to Pittsburgh with the bye after this game, man, Leon, if they get this one, go to 6-2 and get 2 weeks off to get healthy, good grief, we might be in for a terrific second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, also, heck, this part of the season is very pivotal, because guys, the separation between pretenders and contenders is usually around the Halloween weekend leading up until December. So when the Jaguars become 6-2, there'll be a solid 2 seed right now if the playoffs were to start. A solid 2 seed, which means that you got a home game, and a team has to come. I mean, the road to the Super Bowl becomes a lot easier when you're in that 1-2 position. At 1-2. So right now, the only team that is above them is a Kansas City team that beat us by 8 points. So, I mean, I'll take that all day. I absolutely would take that all day. So, I mean, and if you've been in this game long enough, you know how important this game is, because the last thing you want to do is be looking at the end of December and you look back and you say, man, that game cost us a seeding, or it cost us a 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed. So I mean, the ultimate goal is to get the 1 seed and have the road to the championship come through Jacksonville, and that's still possible. But hey, at this particular point, you win 5 in a row. You're cooking with grease. You're absolutely cooking with grease, and you get a bye, and you can rest up, and you can re-energize your stuff and get ready for the latter part of the season, man. That's huge for this team.
Well, win or lose, we will have the fifth quarter, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Steelers go final. 9-Ball Heaven Sports Grill and Billiards on University Boulevard. Leon Searcy, the head coach Dave Campo, and myself, again, 2 hours after the Jags and Steelers go final. Leon, it's my birthday on Sunday. Let's hope the Jaguars get me a birthday present. It'd be a lot nicer to talk about a win on the fifth quarter than a loss. It'll be fun either way. I will see you on Sunday evening, my friend.
You got it, bro.
Your play-by-play home of Bulls Bulldogs football is 1010XL.
I'm Bulls Bulldogs head coach Matt Toblin. Friday night is senior night at Skinner Barco Stadium against Bishop Kenny, and you can catch the play-by-play on 1010 AM.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it. They do it, whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Mia here, and my friends at Brackish Vodka have some exciting news. They've just introduced 2 incredible new flavors that are sure to elevate your experience. Get ready to meet espresso and elderflower. If you're looking for something a bit more floral with a hint of honey, like St. Germain but with a vodka twist, then elderflower is your go-to choice. It's elegance in a bottle, a sip of sophistication. Drink like a local and drink Brackish Vodka, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pastor Joby Martin here with the Church of 1122. We are honored once again to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for the Great Futures Weekend, which includes golf and Mackenzie's 5K run at the esteemed TPC Stadium course. Help us continue to honor Mackenzie Wilson's legacy. That's Friday and Saturday, November 17th and 18th. You can golf or you can run. It'll be a great time. Additional info at MackenzieRun.org. Proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida.
Is your house exterior due for a wash? First Coast Home Pros has thousands of 5-star reviews for a reason. They get amazing results on even the toughest pressure washing jobs. Schedule now at firstcoasthomepros.com.
The YMCA provides after-school care programs for kindergartners through middle school at over 40 sites across the First Coast. Our programs focus on safety, health, social and emotional growth, and academic enhancement. At the Y, your child can build self-reliance, get help with schoolwork, explore new talents, and develop healthy relationships with others, all in a safe, nurturing environment. Plus, financial assistance is available. Learn more at fcymca.org.
It's the game you talk about all year.
It's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Florida, Georgia. This week's Florida-Georgia coverage on 1010XL is brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control and Ackerman Urology and Cancer Center.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Look, when I first stepped into Awaken 180 weight loss, they didn't just ask about the pounds I wanted to drop. They dug deeper, wanting to know the why behind it. What did I want to accomplish by dropping the weight? On-camera appearances where I feel confident? Check. Less joint pain? Double check. How about achieving a healthy body composition? That's a big check. And you know, I wasn't even sure how much I needed to lose at the start. It was about more than just a number on the scale. It was about reaching that optimal composition where everything in my body clicked into place. With the guidance of my outstanding coach, Mandy, we nailed down that number, 25 pounds, and in just over a month, boom, mission accomplished. My metabolism's now firing on all cylinders as I haven't put a pound back on. What are your goals? Bring them to Awaken 180 weight loss, and trust me, you'll be checking off those boxes in no time. Call 844-346-1800 to get started. That's 844-346-1800, or go online to awaken180weightloss.com.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call for your free consultation today. 904-274-5522. Don't wait. 904-274-5522. QC Kinetics. 274-5522.
Congrats to former Georgia head coach Mark Richt and wide receiver Terrence Edwards' induction into the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame. To attend their induction lunch presented by Miller Electric Company Friday, October 27th, visit flgajax.com.
Life's not complete without music. Friday, November 10th, 8 p.m. at Players Grill Mandarin, Julia Gulia takes the stage with unforgettable performances from the 90s, 2000s, and originals. It's not your average cover band. Players Grill Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
Join Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida for their Beaches Barbecue Bash, November 2nd at ABBQ in Atlantic Beach. Enjoy food, drinks, cornhole, live music, and a live auction while impacting young people. Learn more at bgcnf.org/events.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I wouldn't use the word mediocre because defenses know Calvin Ridley. And just go back to this last game when they inverted a lot of coverage to him. So there's a guy underneath, there's a guy over the top. There's not a lot of places to throw the football. So, defenses understand what Calvin can do.
Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Jaguar head coach Doug Peterson earlier today talking about Calvin Ridley. He only had one grab for 5 yards against New Orleans. Now Evan Ingram got involved. Certainly Christian Kirk had a huge game, but you would like to see Ridley get a little bit more involved. I want to say it was our friend Mark Long at the Doug Peterson presser. I'm almost positive it was Mark, and I thought he brought up a great point. Notice the two big Ridley games this year were both when Zay Jones was healthy. Both Ridley big games were when Zay Jones was healthy. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. It's interesting. It's something to think about. Maybe when Zay Jones gets back out there, that'll open it up a little more for Calvin Ridley. We will see. More from Doug Peterson. Look, after 7 games, the Jaguars are 5-2, their best start in franchise history in the last 16 years. You got to go back to 2007 to find another year where they started 5-2. Doug Peterson was asked if he was pleased with the first 7 weeks.
We can still play better. I think there's a lot left out on the field each weekend that we can learn from and improve, especially the back half of the season. And it's a credit to the players, though, and we've had our share of injury, and guys have stepped up and have played well in backup situations. And, we're just anticipating some of our guys, whether it's this week or after the bye, getting healthy and getting back on the field. But your expectation is to win every game. We haven't, but pleased with where we are right now.
That's a good point. I mean, the Jaguars at some point will get healthier, right? At some point, Devon Hamilton will come back. Could be this week. Walker Little is back, working in a limited capacity. At some point, you'll get him back. You'll get Zay Jones back. Guys will start matriculating back in to hopefully after the bye, you're as healthy as you've been since opening day. One quick thought from Trevor Lawrence. It's interesting. Trevor has only been here for 2.5 years. There's a lot of things he's yet to experience in the NFL. One of them is playing in Pittsburgh. He's never gone to Pittsburgh in front of the terrible Towels and that great fan base. And Trevor Lawrence was asked about playing his first game up in Pittsburgh on Sunday.
I'm excited. It's definitely one to check off the list, like playing in cool stadiums, historic places, and obviously Pittsburgh is just their whole organization has like an aura around it that's really cool, and they had some obviously great players, some great teams. You always know kind of what kind of team Pittsburgh's going to have every year. I mean, super physical, great defense. Their offense is playing really well. I mean, that's just what you're going to get. So they're really consistent. Coach Tomlin's obviously done a great job there. But I'm excited. I'm excited to play over there. We've played in some hostile environments, Kansas City, New Orleans. I think those are up there. And this will be another one that'll be a challenge, and it'll be fun to play in. It'll be a fun atmosphere.
Trevor Lawrence did say earlier today that the plan is to wear the knee brace again this week. Said his knee is getting better every day, but the plan, at least now, is to have that knee brace on again, and barring any setbacks, we'll see. Again, keep in mind, it'll be 10 days in between New Orleans and Pittsburgh, and then the Jaguars are off for another 14 days. They have the bye after Pittsburgh where they host the 49ers in the middle part of November. So only one game for the Jaguars over the next 2.5 weeks. Cool event coming to town this Friday night. The UNF Arena. You know, I grew up watching Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man, right? From his days in UFC to certainly what he did in the WWE Attitude Era. Well, Ken Shamrock is bringing his passion to Jacksonville and to the UNF Arena. Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. It's a cool concept. Ken Shamrock is the founder of it. He's putting on this event Friday night at UNF at the arena. I had the opportunity earlier to talk to the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, about Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing.
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Boy, it's a busy time here in Northeast Florida. You got Florida, Georgia on Saturday, the Jaguars with a big matchup in Pittsburgh on Sunday. But before all of that, we have a very cool event coming to the UNF Arena this Friday night, and it's coming to the UNF Arena in large part due to Ken Shamrock. I grew up watching this man on Monday nights, and now he is bringing Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing back to Jacksonville on Friday. With that, it's a pleasure to welcome in Ken Shamrock to 1010XL. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. And you know what? So Friday, here's my day. Friday, Valor Bare Knuckle at the UNF Arena. We're going to go watch them fights. Next day, we're going to look at Florida-Georgia game and have a fun time with that game. And then after that, we're going to watch the Jags, man. What a great weekend, right?
It is a fantastic weekend, Ken. And let's dive right into it, man. You were on the ground floor of UFC and what that sport did to revolutionize the combat industry. You were a big part of one of the most iconic parts of pro wrestling, the Attitude Era in the WWE. And now you have started Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. Ken, what is it about Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing that you believe will take off?
Well, first of all, it goes back to my original days as me as a fighter in the ring and fighting and having such success there, and I just really enjoyed it. It was time for me to leave. I wasn't able to compete in the ring, so I wanted to stay a part of it because I loved it so much. So I figured, well, why not be a promoter and own my own business? But if I was going to do that, I wanted to be different. I don't want to be the same as everyone else, and I want to try to go from my experience on how I can make things better and not just make everything the same. So, the first thing I did was take down the ropes and the cages because I felt like for the fans, it's a better view, not having to look through ropes or cages or anything and be able to actually watch the fights from a different point of view with nothing in your way. And the next thing was clinching. I felt like that's a cheat code for someone who gets hurt, is able to just grab somebody and hug them for a while until they recover. So taking that out, and then of course the true bare knuckle. There is no gloves and no tapes on the hands whatsoever, which is much different than any other event. So those are, I think, the three major things that were different. But what it does is it definitely entices fights to be fast, for fighters to fight, which is what we want to do. And it is a very, very great visual explosion for the fans with not having the ropes or the cages there.
It's a fascinating concept. And look, again, you were a part of huge combat sports, obviously. The ground floor of UFC, like I said, the Attitude Era, WWE. Didn't even talk about your time at TNA and what you did for that company. So you know what it takes. You know what fans like. So you bring your unique perspective to this and start Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. And I got to tell you, Ken, I know people that have seen this. I know people that have talked to you about this. The passion that you have for this, you think this is going to become really big, do you not?
I do. I think, you give it 3 to 4 years, maybe even sooner than that. But I believe that this thing's on a great trajectory. And all of it came from the idea of giving the fans a better experience and the fighters a better experience by changing some of the rule sets and obviously taking the ropes down and the cages down so that everybody experiences this thing that's different and it's fun and it's fast.
ValorBK.com is the website. Again, Friday night, the UNF Arena, Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. Ken, when people head out to the UNF Arena on Friday night, what can they look forward to seeing?
Well, first of all, they're going to see fast fights because of the way the rule sets are set up. It forces the fighters to do what they like to do, and that's to fight. Their experience at actually watching fights will be much different than they've ever experienced before because there's nothing impeding their vision on watching these fights. And so I think when people come to watch this live, they're going to get an experience they've never had before.
You know, Ken, it's interesting, and again, I grew up watching you on Monday nights. I'm trying not to be fanboy here. I'm sure you hear that a lot. I was a big Ken Shamrock fan, the world's most dangerous man, and you've spent a lot of time in Jacksonville, Ken. What is it about the city of Jacksonville that has attracted you to it to really promote this Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing?
Well, again, we started looking here because of the interest in the sports here. I mean, obviously the Jags fans, and then, of course, their arena football with the Sharks, and then, you know, obviously UFC's come here and WWF's come here. And the passion that the people here in Jacksonville have for their sports is just unbelievable. And that's kind of why when I come and visited for the last 2 years, I've actually been coming up here. That's one thing I've noticed is that they have a passion for their sports. And so we thought this would be a great place for us to actually have our hub and our headquarters here in Jacksonville for Bare Knuckle because there seems to be a huge following.
Again, ValorBK.com, Friday night, UNF Arena, Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. The world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, is putting it on here in Jacksonville at my old stomping grounds there, the UNF Arena. Ken, as we begin to wrap up, do you find that people that are coming over to your sport are former UFC, are former wrestlers, are former combat fighters that want to be a part of this?
Yes, we do. We're getting a lot of guys that come from the backgrounds, whether it's mixed martial arts or whether it's boxing or whether it's just some guys that literally did taekwondo or just tough guys that are literally made a career in bare knuckle up to this point and have had 6 or 7 fights. So it's been a great experience for us to be able to match up MMA guys up against actual boxers and to see which one would win. And you'd be surprised on it's kind of a 50-50 thing because bare knuckle is so much different than MMA or boxing.
It'll be a great weekend with that on Friday night, Florida, Georgia, Saturday. I got to ask you, have you ever been to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Ken, or is this be your first game there?
Nope, this is going to be my first experience, and I look forward to it. I heard a lot of stories, so it's going to be fun.
You're in for a treat, brother. No question about that. All right, for people that want to go out to the UNF Arena, Ken, Friday night, Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing, the 27th of October, where can they get tickets? What's the best way to go about doing that?
Yeah, you can go to our website, ValorBK.com. You can get your tickets there. And remember, this is true bare knuckle. No gloves, no ropes, no cages.
Yeah, it is different from boxing, different from UFC, different from WWE. This is bare knuckle, getting after it. Friday night, UNF Arena. Again, ValorBK.com for all your ticket information. Ken, it's tremendous, man. I look forward to seeing you this weekend. Have a great time Friday night and enjoy the cocktail party with Florida and Georgia on Saturday.
I appreciate you, man. Valor Bare Knuckle, let's go.
See the world through the eyes of a linebacker.
I tell it like I see it, and I see it like a middle linebacker.
Tom McManus joins Jaguars Today every Friday morning.
Period.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials. Mimosas as well, $2.50 noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Julington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
The Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is now offering online scheduling for new patient appointments for all of their physicians. Simply schedule your appointment on your cell phone, tablet, or desktop. JOI is the first orthopedic practice in North Florida to offer this feature to patients. To schedule your appointment online, visit joi.net and click on the button at the top of the page. If you'll be using insurance, be sure and have your information handy. JOI, where the pros go.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it. When you roll
Charmin Ultra Soft on the party. Less is more, so roll it back, everybody. Charmin's irresistibly soft and hella nice. The grip is always stocked. It's our party vibe. It's crucial little things, so our cheeks feel fine. So everybody wanna touch the sky.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, it's Prosser here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? Does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound about right now? Well, Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans, consolidate all your payments into one check per month, and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is a proud sponsor of Operation New Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala, featuring retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and former Congressman Alan West. Saturday, December 2nd at Sawgrass Marriott. Operation New Uniform is a free, life-changing program that helped me, David Trenholm, successfully transition from a 20-year career in the United States Navy to the business world. Join 1010XL and sponsor Operation New Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala today. Go to onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org today.
Allentown Mortgage gives you both a fast online application process and an expert mortgage advisor to get you the best mortgage at the most competitive rate in the nation. You can be a number at a big box bank and spend weeks filling out paperwork, or call Allentown Mortgage. Eric summed it up in his 5-star Google review. Allentown knows the mortgage industry. When the big boxes say no, they say yes. The whole process went very smoothly. Get the mortgage experience you want. Go to allentownmortgage.com. That's allentownmortgage.com. NMLS number 103917, 4810 Executive Park, Jacksonville.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Your high school girls can join the Duval Tides girls rugby team. No tryouts and no experience necessary. Learn everything you need to know at Jack's HS Girls Rugby on Facebook and Instagram.
The Knights of Columbus 5535 annual golf tournament is November 6th at Glen Kernan Country Club. To find out how to play or sponsor, call 249-5535.
You can play golf with Josh Scobie and other former Jaguars players and celebrities while raising money for the First Tee. November 13th at Deerwood Country Club's First Tee Open.
To walk in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Light the Night Walk on November 16th at UNF. Register at lightthenight.org.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock. At the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, my friend Sean Devaney. He's covered the NBA for years. He's with Heavy.com. But the Orlando Magic up 20 on Houston. 8 minutes to go. Opening night for most teams in the association. So we'll talk to Sean Devaney, a little NBA preview coming up at about 9:30. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, Jared Bailey of the USA Today. He's one of the guys that I just enjoy talking ball with. Covers the nationally for the USA Today. Actually does a fair amount of work with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So obviously a great week to have Jared Bailey on to look at the Jaguars, the AFC South, and certainly the Jaguar matchup on Sunday with the Pittsburgh Steelers. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. NBA in 25 minutes. NFL with Jared Bailey of the USA Today next. 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Florida Forum welcomes former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski November 8th. Funds are raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,250 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. Get your tickets by clicking thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886, 202-2886, or thefloridaforum.com.
Picture this. It's a dark and stormy night, and your toilet is acting possessed. But fear not, for Duck Duck Rooter is here to exorcise those plumbing demons and banish them to the netherworld. So if you're facing a plumbing horror story straight out of a nightmare, summon the spectral expertise of Duck Duck Rooter. Call 904-862-6769 and bid those plumbing phantoms farewell. Duck Duck Rooter, where we tackle plumbing scares so you don't have to.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Imagine your life without pain. Several months ago, I said yes to Yas, Dr. Mitchell Yas, and the Yas method for pain elimination. He focuses not on symptoms, but on the real source of your pain, which is usually muscular imbalance or weakness. The Yas method uses personalized exercises that bring lasting relief. It's not therapy, it's transformation. Discover your path to pain-free living with Dr. Yas and the Yas method by calling 904-906-Y8SS and say yes to Yas.
Fish are good at hiding. Captain Kevin can help you find them.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Thursday nights at 6.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss on 1010XL AM.
You can't have exceptional water quality without the hefty price. With Kanaya Water Systems, a premium, high-quality water and filtration system that won't leave your wallet taking an L. Search KENAI Water, Jacksonville.
Hunting season is here, so lock and load on that new rifle or shotgun at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Tons of great options with the best prices and no waiting this side of the ditch. Arm yourself with the best at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics. The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. This is amazing stuff. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. You've got to go see QC Kinetics. You can call to set up a free consultation at Mandarin or Ponte Vedra locations at 904-274-5522. Again, 274-5522. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, shoulders, back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Look, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Again, give them a call. 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, with answers to the questions I'm asked the most. Yes, we are local, and no, I'm not hiring an actor to read these commercials. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Football season's in full throttle, and you still haven't tried Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game yet? Underdog just extended a $500 new sign-up match, so now's the time. Here's how the game works. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually spend game day doing. watching football. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real cash. So head to Underdog Fantasy's easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code 1010XL, and right now you'll get your first deposit matched up to $500. Remember, that's Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code 1010XL. Underdog now matching sign-up deposits up to $500. That offer won't last forever, so use promo code 1010XL. You do have to be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncbgambling.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL, and all of a sudden, it's a very big game in the AFC with the 5-2 Jaguars playing the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. With that, Jared Bailey of the USA Today, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Jared, we're good. Thank you for the time. And all right, well, you and I haven't talked in about a month. The last time you and I talked, a lot of questions surrounding this Jaguar football team. And then they go on this 4-game winning streak, including wins over a 4-3 Atlanta team, a 4-3 Buffalo team, an Indianapolis and New Orleans win as well. Jared, what's been your thought on the Jaguars over the last month or so?
Yeah, I mean, they were my pick to be the top seed in the NFC coming into the season. And, you know, it's been kind of the opposite of what we expected from this team, because you look at where they ranked right now offensively in EPA, they're 16th in the league, but defensively they're 7th. So the defense has been a pleasant surprise where, you know, the offense was struggling to score points a little bit early on, but the defense is really keeping them in games and helping them win games, really. You look at that Atlanta game in London, like the offense wasn't very explosive, but the defense had multiple takeaways and set Jacksonville up in plus territory that helped them get the points that they got. So the defense has been really good. Offensively, they're starting to kind of find a rhythm. They put up a lot of points against Indianapolis, and their run game with Travis Etienne's really found a groove, especially on Thursday night against the Saints on the road. So they're feeling really good right now. They should feel really good right now, and I like what I'm seeing from them.
Jared, it's almost as if they're going back to what worked last year. I mean, that was with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Those have kind of been the bell cows in the passing game. Zay Jones has been injured. Calvin Ridley not really even targeted all that much against New Orleans. Maybe they got away from Kirk and Ingram at the beginning of the year, but it clearly appears that they found that winning recipe again with those two guys.
Yeah, it just seems like it, you know, the beginning of the season, it felt like Calvin Ridley was just going to be this force. But, you know, we've seen some ups and downs with his production and getting him acquainted with the offense and whatnot. But Christian Kirk had a really big game, obviously the big touchdown late in the game against New Orleans. And he's had moments throughout the year, the same way Evan Ingram has. And, you know, the only thing that, you know, worries me about the offense is, you know, anytime Jamal Agnew is on the field, it seems like he's there to get the ball. Like when Press and Doug Peterson send Jamal Agnew out, he doesn't have to get the ball all the time. So they do have other guys on that offense, obviously, that have stepped up when Calvin Ridley hasn't had the production that they expected. And, you know, these are the same guys that were here last year that helped them win the AFC South and get a playoff win. So these are guys that Trevor Lawrence trusts. These are reliable players. You know, they gave Christian Kirk all that money for a reason, and he's been reliable. So, you know, just figuring out a way to, you know, incorporate all of them, but also get the production that they wanted out of Ridley, I think is the next step for this offense. And, you know, right now they're getting the production out of guys like Ingram and Kirk. It's just a matter of, okay, can Calvin Ridley be this consistent force, you know, that they traded for?
Jared Bailey of USA Today here with us on 1010XL. In Jacksonville, Jaguars and the Steelers Sunday at 1 o'clock. Travis Etienne, 6 touchdowns over the last 3 games, Jared. Maybe not the great numbers as far as yardage on the ground, but clearly he's finding the end zone very, very well.
Yeah, he's starting to turn into like an Austin Eckler type where, you know, he can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. We saw a little bit of that against the Saints. But yeah, I mean, like you said, he hasn't put up like gaudy yardage numbers, but they drafted Tank Bigsby, who they incorporate into the offense as well. But it's very clear that ETN is the focal back in the offense. And we had the 2 touchdowns against the Saints. He was really the predominant weapon offensively for Jacksonville against New Orleans. So he's been everything that they wanted him to be when they took him in the first round. And, you look at the other backs that have gone, like the Steelers took Najee Harris ahead of ETN. And, if they could redo it, I wonder if they would still do that same thing. So ETN has been fantastic. And, we talked about the weapons on the offense outside of Calvin Ridley. He's been just as big as any of them.
It's interesting coming into the year. I think the thought was, well, the Jaguar defense only has to be average because the offense is going to outscore people. And there maybe is a little validity to that now because they have put up better numbers now than they were putting up in the first month or so of the year. But even with that being said, the Jaguar defense, Jarrett, to me, is playing far superior than what most people thought coming into the year. That defense is really doing some things.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been a very pleasant surprise. They're 7th in the league in EPA per play. You got guys like Josh Allen, who's taken a step forward. Foye Oluokun has played well. And then Andre Sisco, I think, might be one of the most underrated players in football. He's fantastic at safety. Tyson Campbell as well at cornerback. Like, they have guys on that side of the ball that might not get a ton of love, but they get the job done. And in terms of the front seven especially, they needed to see guys step up because I think last year they had, 1 week it would be Fadakasi, 1 week it would be Josh Allen, the other would be Oluokun. Like, right now they're playing more as a collective unit, which has been really nice, a nice benefit for the secondary as well. The fact that they're getting consistent pressure and, they're making the quarterbacks make decisions sooner, and that leads to turnovers, and that leads to, bad plays for the offense. So the defense has been really good, and that's been, like I said, a pleasant surprise for the offense that kind of came out of the gate stumbling a little bit.
Yeah, no question about it. Look, and you look around the rest of the division, I want to get to Jacksonville and Pittsburgh in a moment, but it appears 7 weeks in that Houston may be the biggest competitor to Jacksonville, Jared. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming, but give C.J. Stroud and the Texans some credit. 3 nice wins, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, and, of course, beating the Jaguars here. At 3-3, Houston, one of the more pleasant surprises in the league right now.
Yeah, I think Houston could kind of be this year's like Seattle team from last year, where they didn't have a lot of expectations coming into the year. But they're well coached. Obviously, DeMeco Ryan seems to be the right hire early on, and they quietly have a good roster, especially defensively. And CJ Stroud has been fantastic. Talking to Aaron Schatz, who the creator of DVOA, if you look at CJ Stroud's first 5 games, they're the best first 5 games in a career in a quarterback in NFL history. He's had a really good start to the season. 9 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's played fantastic. He's protecting the ball. Nico Collins has really benefited from having Stroud. Tank Dell, the rookie out of Houston. They're finding ways to win games, and it's not fluky. This is a quarterback and an offense that's really clicking. And they're putting up points too. They put up 30 points against Pittsburgh. They put up 37 against the Jaguars. This is a very capable team with a good coach and a defense that's still figuring some stuff out, but they're, like I said, they're well coached. Will Anderson, they gave up a lot to move up and get him, but he's been fantastic. So I think that, you look at the AFC standings right now, there's no reason why the Texans going to be a frisky team to kind of sneak in and get that 7 spot.
Jared Bailey of the USA Today. To Indianapolis we go. Anthony Richardson out for the year. Just a devastating way to end his rookie season very, very quickly. Gardner Minshew has looked good. The problem is he keeps turning the ball over, and they lost a heartbreaker to Cleveland. Good heavens, what a loss that was. They've had 8 turnovers in 2 games, yet they do show signs on offense with Gardner out there. Jarrett, what is your thought on the Colts moving forward?
My thoughts are that they also made the right hire with Shane Steichen, because the fact that he can go from 2 completely different styles of quarterbacks with Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew and still have incredible production, that says a lot to his offensive scheme, his game plan as a coach. So credit to Shane Steichen and credit to Gardner Minshew too. Yes, the turnovers are a problem, and that's obviously cost them, but he's playing well in large part. He had 2 rushing touchdowns yesterday. He had a really nice throw to Josh Downs, who's getting more involved in the offense. Alec Pierce, we're starting to see Jonathan Taylor get more integrated with the offense. Zach Moss has played well. And then defensively, they've got guys there too. You don't hear a lot about EJ Speed or maybe a Zaire Franklin, but those are 2 really good players. Juju Brents, the rookie out of Kansas State, was a really good draft pick. To me, they're very similar to Houston, where they didn't have a lot of expectations coming into the year, but it's clear that they got the right coach, and they quietly have guys on their roster that play like hell and will, for 60 minutes, you're not going to enjoy playing the Texans, and you're not going to enjoy playing the Colts. They might not win they're going to make you remember that you played them.
Two and more pleasant surprises now to a disappointment. And you and I talked about this offseason. I don't think either one of us was ultimately very high on Tennessee. They're 2-4. Interestingly enough, they've beaten two pretty good teams, right? Cincinnati and the Chargers. And yet some of their losses have just been brutal. They're 2-4, and there's a lot of questions in Nashville right now.
Yeah, look, man, I think that the Titans tried to convince themselves that they were, just a playmaker away from, being the 2018, 2019 Titans that kind of stole the number one seed in the AFC. They're not that anymore, man. Like, the offensive line still isn't good. Ryan Tannehill isn't good. Derrick Henry isn't the bell cow that he used to be, very clearly. They're starting to integrate Tyjae Spears, the rookie out of Tulane, and he's been very fun and very good. But defensively, pass defense still not great. The front seven in the run stopping game, that's still really good, but they don't have the horses. They don't have the juice offensively to stick with really good teams. Yes, they beat the Bengals, but the Bengals are still figuring things out, and we're very bad at that point. And they've just been so up and down. Like, they beat the Bengals, and then they get humiliated by the Browns. They played really bad against New Orleans in Week 1. They're just a very inconsistent team. And I don't think that the quarterback of the future is on this roster. They trotted out Malik Willis in London against Baltimore after Ryan Tannehill got hurt. He got sacked 5 times in 15 plays. So the Titans, I think, like I said, they tried tricking themselves into thinking, okay, yeah, we got DeAndre Hopkins now. That was kind of our missing piece. No, it was not. They are still very far away from being a real threat in the AFC.
When you can bring it back to this Sunday, the Jaguars and the Steelers, all of a sudden, it's a pretty big game, right? 5-2 Jacksonville, 4-2 Pittsburgh. What's your early thought on the game in Pittsburgh on Sunday?
Bet the under. I think that both defenses are going to play hard, and the MO with the Steelers so far, at least in their wins, has been they're not going to play great for like 2.5, 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, like, the offense just seems to come alive. That was very true Sunday against the Rams, where, okay, it was 9-3 after the first half, and then the first play from scrimmage for the Rams, TJ Watt gets an interception, then Kenny Pickett scores a rushing touchdown. That was a low-scoring game. And then Pittsburgh in the fourth quarter has 2 touchdown drives capped off by Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris rushing touchdowns. And the offense, they just seem to find a way. And is it sustainable long-term, and are they going to be able to do that in the playoffs against really good teams? No. But in the regular season, hosting a Jaguars team that's, struggled a little bit to put up points, could they hold them to, 20 points and hope that the offense can do just enough to get the job done? Yeah. But Pittsburgh is, do they have the quarterback? Do they have the juice to get it done? We'll find out. I don't know if Kenny Pickett's the long-term answer in Pittsburgh. And we obviously know that Trevor Lawrence is in Jacksonville. So if I had to lean away in this game, I'm leaning Jacksonville just because I think they're the better overall team. They have the better quarterback. But I'm not writing off Pittsburgh just because they seem to always find ways to win these games that they probably shouldn't.
A little bit of motivation for the Jaguars, not necessarily coming out of Pittsburgh, but Trevor Lawrence this past weekend goes on social media and fires back a little bit at some national analysts, Richard Sherman among them, that did not have a lot of flattering things to say about Trevor last week after the win over New Orleans. Were you surprised to see Trevor react that way on social media?
I was, but I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I want to see this out of Trevor Lawrence, and it's very unexpected to see that out of a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who throughout his college career, the short NFL career he has been soft-spoken, doesn't say much, always, says, the generic quarterback things. But it's nice to see a quarterback with a little bit of fire and kind of shooting back at people who are, saying some not so great things about the Jaguars. And good for him for doing it. And he's a guy who can back it up with his play. We know that. And, if that's the fire that the Jaguars need and it helps motivate them more, then so be it. We know that, guys like Michael Jordan always tried to find some sort of motivation in everything that they did. And if this helps Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars offense, then so be it. I have no problem with it at all. And, I kind of like a quarterback playing a little bit irritated and kind of shooting back at the critics.
Jared Bailey of the USA Today. Jared, as we wrap up, Kansas City 6-1. They're the class of the AFC right now. In fact, only 2 teams have 4-game winning streaks or more in the NFL. One is Kansas City, currently at 6. The other is right here in Jacksonville at 4. Who else in the AFC is the biggest competitor? We see Baltimore at 5-2, Miami 5-2, the Jags are 5-2. Who's Kansas City's biggest competition when it comes to the postseason?
I mean, right now it's hard to say anybody but Miami, but every team that you would put in that conversation has very clear flaws. The Dolphins, they're 5-2. They haven't beaten anybody yet. That's really worth bragging about. And both times that they played a team with a winning record, they got beat by multiple scores. Buffalo is a team that will play to the level of their competition. If they're playing Kansas City, they will show up, and more often than not in the regular season, they're winning these games. But we saw what happened these past 2 weeks where they play a really bad Giants team and a really bad Patriots team, and they played down to their level, and it cost them one of those games. So Buffalo just seems to have an issue waking up for the small games, but when it comes to the big games, they're always there. It's just a matter of can they find some sort of consistency where they're beating these teams that they should beat. And then Jacksonville, the Jaguars are obviously in that conversation, and they play in the easiest division. They're more than likely going to win that division and be a team that's in the way of somebody who wants to get to the Super Bowl. But if they catch fire like they did at the end of last year, and Calvin Ridley starts to heat up and the offense starts scoring more and that defense maintains this level of efficiency, then I don't see a reason why the Jaguars couldn't be, this surprise Super Bowl team, kind of like Cincinnati was a few years ago. Nobody expected the Bengals to get to the Super Bowl, and they did. So I don't see a reason why the Jaguars couldn't. But, speaking of Cincinnati, I don't know, man. They have a tough schedule. I don't think that Pittsburgh's really going to be anything if they get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be a team that gets eliminated in the wild card round. Baltimore's interesting. We saw the total, against the Lions, that was everything going absolutely perfect for Baltimore. And we've seen, though, that doesn't happen too often where sometimes they just tend to be that team that shoots themselves in the foot. But they beat up a really good Lions team. And if they can maintain 80% of that, 75% of that going forward, they're going to be a force. So there's no shortage of competitors in the AFC, and there's no shortage of competitors for the Chiefs, but all of them have, very obvious flaws. The Chiefs have flaws too. They're not a perfect team. They haven't been scoring as much as we've been accustomed to in previous years. And they don't really have a downfield threat. So no team is perfect, but, right now it's, Kansas City is, where they have been for the past few years, and that's the cream of the crop and standing above everybody else.
I know the Jaguars would love another opportunity. 13-5 is Jacksonville's record in the last 18 regular season games. They're 13-2 against teams not from Kansas City. They're 0-3 against the Chiefs and 13-2 against everybody else. Jared Bailey of the USA Today. Again, the Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. Jared, know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. No problem.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Look, when I first stepped into Awaken 180 weight loss, they didn't just ask about the pounds I wanted to drop. They dug deeper, wanting to know the why behind it. What did I want to accomplish by dropping the weight? On-camera appearances where I feel confident? Check. Less joint pain? Double check. How about achieving a healthy body composition? That's a big check. And I wasn't even sure how much I needed to lose at the start. It was about more than just a number on the scale. It was about reaching that optimal composition where everything in my body clicked into place. With the guidance of my outstanding coach, Mandy, we nailed down that number, 25 pounds, and in just over a month, boom, mission accomplished. My metabolism's now firing on all cylinders as I haven't put a pound back on. What are your goals? Bring them to Awaken 180 weight loss, and trust me, you'll be checking off those boxes in no time. Call 844-346-1800 to get started. That's 844-346-1800 or go online to awaken180weightloss.com.
Do you love sports? Do you also love wings? Enjoy the best wings in Jacksonville in Miramar, Mandarin, and Oakleaf at Players Grill. Watch your favorite teams and enjoy burgers, pizza, salads, and of course, wings. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Any action? Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
That's a big redfish, guys.
With Captain Kevin Faber.
Oh my gosh.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Pastor Joby Martin here with the Church of 1122. We are honored once again to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for the Great Futures Weekend, which includes golf and Mackenzie's 5K run at the esteemed TPC Stadium course. Help us continue to honor Mackenzie Wilson's legacy. That's Friday and Saturday, November 17th and 18th. You can golf or you can run. It'll be a great time. Additional info at MackenzieRun.org. Proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida.
Learn the secrets to bring your A game on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Yeah, well, you really crushed that ball off the tee, I'll tell you what.
Learn the latest on new equipment from all the major manufacturers on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. You know, so much going on. The Jaguars and the Steelers have a huge one on Sunday. We got the cocktail party here on Saturday with Florida and Georgia. But before all that, man, it's my time of year. It is tip-off week in the association. The NBA is back. I am absolutely fired up, and that means we get to talk to my friend Sean Devaney, who's joined me for years. He's with Heavy.com, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Sean, I hope you had a great offseason, man. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty well, Ryan. Yeah, it comes and goes so fast, you know.
And it just seems like about a month or two ago, Denver was winning that championship, but that was 4.5 months ago now, and here we are, opening week in the NBA, and obviously there were a lot of big moves, Sean, we'll get to, but in totality, the offseason that was, what are some of the big things that stood out to you?
Well, you know, obviously, I think we saw some of the limitations of player empowerment, you know, that you've had a move really where players do seem to have more power and are able to force trades and very often force trades where they want to go. You think back to Anthony Davis, for instance, going to the Lakers, which is pretty much the only team he really wanted to go to, and the only team that New Orleans at that time, 2019, could really negotiate with. And we saw that sort of happening again this year with Damian Lillard and James Harden, except neither one of those guys got what they wanted in the deal. And so, I think that situation, with players who have contracts in place wanting out and trying to force their way out, it's obvious that those things have changed, and that's one of the big takeaways of the summer for him.
The last time you and I talked, Damian Lillard was a Portland Trailblazer, and the thought was, well, if it's anywhere, it's going to be Miami. So, of course, he ends up in Milwaukee with Giannis and Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, and they're loaded now. How did that happen, Sean? Take us back to that trade. How did that go down?
Yeah, Milwaukee was sort of involved with Joe Cronin, the GM of Portland, throughout the process. There wasn't a whole lot there for the Blazers in terms of other interests. Milwaukee had checked in back before the World Championship at the end of August. And was just trying to gauge, where things were. But, GMs and you talk to people in the league, they all assumed that this was going to go towards Miami eventually as well. It wasn't just us in the media who were saying it. In the league, the feeling was that this is where Damian Lillard wanted to go, and that was what was going to happen. But, Milwaukee had been sort of gauging where things were, and there were a handful of other teams that were doing that. Toronto was one of them as well, even though there weren't any solid offers or anything like that. So it wasn't until after the World Championships in September that Milwaukee really made a push and put forth what it thought was its best offer, and winds up sending Drew Holiday to Portland and winds up getting back Damian Lillard. So DeAndre Ayton, of course, goes from Phoenix, and Phoenix had been looking to move Ayton pretty much all summer. So DeAndre Ayton goes to Portland, and they're able to facilitate that deal. But this was something that really just came together in a matter of a couple of weeks. It wasn't something that really had been worked on all throughout the summer.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, here with us as the NBA tips off this season here this week. Devaney with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. You mentioned Drew Holiday. Boston's, response to Lillard going to Milwaukee is finagling their way to get Drew Holiday, and they also added Kristaps Porzingis. They did lose Marcus Smart, so I'll be very interested to see how that goes. But what about Boston in the East? Are they still Milwaukee's toughest competition?
Yeah, I think there's no question it's Milwaukee and Boston in the East, and then sort of everybody else at this point. And that's with all due respect to the Miami Heat, the defending Eastern Conference champions. Just in terms of talent, before you get into coaching and all that, and that's where Miami's big advantage is, of course. But just in terms of the talent on paper, you've got Milwaukee and you've got Boston, and then it's a long way to number 3 in the Eastern Conference. So I do think that that those two teams are sort of head and shoulders. And I actually, Damian Lillard, as good of a scorer as he is, and as talented as he is, he's also getting up there in age. Health is going to be an issue, and I just like the fit of Drew Holiday in Boston more than I like the fit of Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. So I actually think that in all those movements, I think Boston probably turned out better than what Milwaukee did.
Sean, where are we with James Harden?
You could call me back in an hour, Ryan, and I might have a different answer. It just seems to change over and over and over. Nobody wants him, and I think that's been really a stunning piece of news for James at this point in his career, that as talented as he is, a guy who led the league in assists and can get you 30 points on any given night, is finds himself generally unwanted in the league, mostly because of how he's behaved and sort of what he's done to his own career, sort of sabotaging himself at this point. So yeah, it's probably Clippers or bust at this point. If he's going to play for the Sixers, I think that he's got some hoops to go through still. I think the Sixers don't necessarily trust that he'll go out there and play well. We've seen him do that in Houston, where he kind of went in and tanked when he wanted out of there. So yeah, it's hard to say where he's going to land. But where he is now, that's something that remains something of a mystery, and it's really hard to see how Philadelphia gets out of this in a way that keeps them competitive and keeps them as a contender in the East.
Sean, when we go out west, people got to figure out a way to beat Denver, which is hard because they are really, really good. So we saw Phoenix make a splash, right, adding Bradley Beal. Golden State goes out and brings in a veteran and Chris Paul. Houston spent a lot of money on Van Fleet and Brooks from Memphis. So a lot of Western Conference teams did a lot of things, but did anybody do enough to challenge Denver in the West?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Lakers, by the time they got to the Western Conference Finals last year, they had put that team together pretty much at the trade deadline, and I think they were a little bit out of gas. I think that the togetherness that the Nuggets have had from playing together as long as those guys have played together, I think that was such an advantage at that point. And they won't have that advantage this time around. Assuming with Lakers, it's always going to be, can LeBron stay healthy at age 38? Can Anthony Davis stay healthy just with his past? If they can, that's the best supporting cast that they've had. They have not had, even when they won the championship, this is a better supporting cast. So if they can stay healthy, then I think I would have the Lakers as the favorites in the West, even with everything that Phoenix did, even with everything that we know about Denver. I think the Lakers up and down are probably the best team in the Western Conference. I would pick them to win the conference.
Couple of more for Sean Devaney of Heavy.com. To the Lakers, while we're on the topic. Sean, you've covered the league a long time, man. Father Time catches up to everybody. It even caught up to the great Michael Jordan. I mean, it catches up to everybody. And yet, LeBron, at 38 years of age, I see videos of him in practice just doing these monster dunks like he's 25 years old out there. I mean, the guy's a freak, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is – And I'm not going to break any new ground here, but you could do the math on the number of playoff games that this guy has played in. I mean, he's been in the playoffs, pretty much every year of his career, except for a couple here and there, and usually making deep runs. So where he's playing 15, 20 playoff games. So, he's playing 100 games a year out there. He doesn't do load management. So, the wear and tear on that body is far greater than what you'd have on any other player who's 28 rather than 38. So it really is remarkable what he's been able to do. Obviously, he's taken full advantage of the science and what we know about taking care of your body and what we know about how you should work in the off season. He's been very, very meticulous about that, and some of it's just genetics. Let's face it. I mean, some of it is just he is just built in a way that he can take the amount of abuse he's taken in his career and still go out and be as productive as he is. Not everybody's going to be able to do that.
Sean, my needs are small as an Orlando Magic fan, all right? All I need to do is get into the play-in tournament. I'm not asking for much, just the play-in tournament. What is your thought about Orlando this year?
Yeah, I it's going to come down to the guards. There's a lot to sort out there. I think they have, on a scale of 1 to 10, they have a bunch of 5s, at guard, and that's the problem is, it's hard to figure out who to play and who should play what role. So they've got to get that figured out. They probably have to make some trades of the guards that they don't need, and maybe make some some adjustments elsewhere. But they've got to be able to figure out, okay, who's our point guard, who's our shooting guard, and who can make some 3-pointers. Who can spread the floor here. That's the big question. If they can work that out, if they can have a sensible rotation at point guard, whether it's Fultz and a backup here and there, the Black or Cole Anthony, or whoever it's going to be, and then somebody who could make some shots to go with them. That's what it's going to come down to. They've got so much talent in the front court. They're pretty well set there. It's going to come down to okay, who's going to make shots and who's going to be able to run this team and really not be a 5 but be a 7 or an 8 on that scale of 1 to 10. That's what they need.
I hear you on the guards. I think you're exactly right. Although maybe it's my Orlando Magic homerism here, but I'm looking at the guys in the front court, right? The guys, the forwards, the centers, and whatnot. I see 24-year-old Wendell Carter. I see, I think, 22-year-old Franz Wagner and 20-year-old Paolo Banchero. And I got to tell you, Sean, man, if those guys stay healthy, particularly Wendell Carter, they're going to be really good this year, are they not?
Yeah, but you've got to have good guard play. I mean, that's the only thing that they're missing is getting that guard play, especially getting some shooters. I mean, they need both. Obviously, they need point guards too. But if they can have some shooters, because Paolo, you can run the offense through Paolo. You can even run the offense to an extent through Franz Wagner. Both of those guys are very good with the ball and very good passers. So you can do some of that stuff where you don't need John Stockton to run the point, but you're going to need somebody who can get the offense set up and make some shots. And if they get that, you're right. I mean, they are deep and talented in that front court. And I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, Sean, as we say goodbye, again, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Obviously, it's a marathon. We're going to have you on a number of times over the next 7-8 months here. But your prediction before the season gets underway, is it as simple as Los Angeles in the West and the winner of Boston, Milwaukee in the East? Is that what you think going in?
Yeah, obviously I think there's probably 4 teams in the West who have a chance to come out of the conference. The Lakers, the Suns, the Nuggets, and perhaps the Warriors can pull together one more run. And then I think you probably just have 2 teams in the East with the Celtics and the Bucks. I mean, I'm a classic kind of guy, and I'm based here in Boston, so of course I'd lean towards Celtics Lakers. But there would have to be some things that fall into the right. That falls just right along the way to make that happen. But it's certainly a possibility this year.
The marathon of the NBA season tips off this week, and I absolutely cannot wait. Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Hey, Sean, quickly, tell the folks here in Jacksonville, man, about Heavy.com and the coverage you guys are going to provide this year.
Yeah, do check out Heavy.com and the NBA coverage. We've got the league. We're working on the league up and down. Trade rumors and all that fun stuff. We'll have all that, as well as analysis and of course the news.
Sean, happy opening week to you, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
And thank you to my friend Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, talking NBA, as it is tip-off week in the association. I love it and appreciate Sean Devaney, who's joined me for years here on Hacker After Dark. My big takeaways of the evening. Well, it all comes back to the Jaguars, right? I mean, obviously the Jaguars getting ready for a big one in Pittsburgh, and it's interesting the change in perspective of the national media. Even after the win in New Orleans last Thursday, on Friday, very, very lukewarm reaction to the Jaguars win. Yet you look around now, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN has the Jaguars in the top 5 in the NFL right now. Sunday Night Football did their power rankings, had the Jaguars number 3 in the NFL right now. I saw Colin Cowherd had the Jaguars at number 5. So we can't talk out of both sides, right? We can't say the national media and the national pundits rip on the Jags, because certainly in the last couple of days they've been giving the Jags a lot of love. Now, how does that translate to Sunday? How did the Jaguars deal with success? Keep in mind, when the season started, there were a lot of expectations on the Jaguars. And they beat Indy to go to 1-0, and people were loving on them. And then you lose to Kansas City, and you lose to Houston. And then people said, well, same old Jags, right? But now they've won 4 in a row. Now they're back on the national radar. Do they handle that a little bit better now than maybe they did a month ago? I think that's one of the more interesting subplots going in to what is a very big game on Sunday against the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a crazy busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Certainly thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. He's one of our main NBA guys here on Hacker After Dark as the association, the marathon, begins this week. And we certainly appreciate Sean for taking time out for us tonight. Likewise, Jared Bailey of the USA Today, one of my favorite guys to talk NFL with. We talk Jags, AFC South, obviously previewed Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. So thank you to Jared Bailey of the USA Today for joining us tonight. The world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. He is bringing Bauer Knuckle Boxing to the UNF Arena on Friday. Go to ValorBK.com for all the information. It is going to be a great time. Again, Ken Shamrock was in on the UFC when it started. He was part of the Attitude Era in the WWE. The guy knows, obviously, all about combat sports and success in those. And now he is starting the Valor Knuckle Boxing. And again, UNF Arena on Friday. For ticket information, go to ValorBK.com. And back in hour number 1, my friend Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Former Jaguar, former Steeler, right? Pittsburgh drafted him. He played in a Super Bowl for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Certainly an interesting week for Leon, but he likes the Jaguars to win, and I certainly like that positivity. Leon, myself, and the head coach Dave Campo, of course, will have the 5th quarter for you. 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Steelers go final on Sunday out there on University Boulevard at 9 Ball Heaven Sports Grill and Billiards. Now, the week is a little interesting moving forward. Tomorrow night, because of Florida, Georgia, all the Duval County high schools are in action. So, tomorrow night, we will have Bowles and Bishop Kenny on 1010 a.m. and 92.5 FM. And then myself, Dylan Denmark, Andrew Gibson will have a Thursday night lights, if you will. We will talk to Victoria's head coaches all throughout Duval County tomorrow night after Bowles and Bishop Kenny go final. And then we are back with a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark from 8 to 10 o'clock this Friday. Obviously, the night before Florida, Georgia. We will certainly spend a lot of time Friday night on the cocktail party. And we will certainly spend a lot of time on Friday night with the Jaguars and the Steelers. Sunday, 1 o'clock kick. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. And, of course, you'll hear Florida, Georgia right here on 1010XL on Saturday afternoon. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And, again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening. We will talk to you again on Hacker After Dark Friday night at 8 o'clock, and I will talk to you tomorrow under the Thursday night lights following Bowles and Bishop Kenny. Until then,